Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining my class, for purchasing my course. And one of the things that we wanted to talk about today is why. As you can see here, there's a bunch of question marks then. And the reason why I bring this up is because what you're going to undertake here in just a few moments is really a long road. It's difficult. It's many times you'll have a situation where you don't see much progress, or you think it's kind of hard, or your family's making fun of you, and here you are trying to learn the American accent. And really, I take my hat off to you because it's really a wonderful endeavor, something that will benefit you not only now but for years to come. You may be living in the United States and want to improve your accents and your speaking skills in order to speak more like a native, or you're thinking ahead, and even though you're living in your native country, your home country, or maybe somewhere else outside of the United States or Canada, you want to get a head start, or maybe make those improvements before you even step foot on American soil. And so all those things are great. And the reason why I bring this up at first is because the thing that's going to keep you going more than anything else is to find out what's going to motivate you, what's going to have you keep moving ahead, making the necessary steps in order to improve your language skills. And why do you want to do it? Because the thing is that it's not that easy to do, and it's something that frankly I won't be able to actually teach you. It's something that you have to learn and develop with my guidance, and also the guidance of other classes that you may be taking, and other of materials that you might be using. And so really the first thing here is that you want to figure out, in order to make sure that you are going to do this for the long haul and keep yourself motivated in order to keep learning, keep improving, look at yourself and say, hey, I've got to work on this, is to ask the reason why. And so figure that out first, and then you're going to be able to connect that motivation with what you'll have to do every day, which is to practice English, to practice the American accent, to look at the things that you have before you in order to make those changes, to look at yourself honestly and say, hey, I've got to work on this, or this doesn't sound exactly right, I need to change it, and really I have to practice. And so we have to figure out why we are wanting to improve our American accent or develop one. So really this introductory video is to help us to do just that. And in fact, one of the things that's good about doing this is that even though you might have one or two reasons, everything that I'm going to show you here in the subsequent parts of this video is actually a real benefit for obtaining, being able to develop the American accent, and to be able to cultivate that and use it in your professional life, in your everyday life. These things are some real benefits here, that whether you're where you're living right now, maybe in another country, or in an English speaking country, these things are huge. These things can practically change your life. And so let's go through some of the ones that I've thought of, and some of the things that my students have brought out, and some of the things that through my 20 plus years of working with ones in speech and pronunciation, and also the American accent, I've seen that these are part of the motivations for doing what they do. And we're talking about doctors, we're talking about professionals, or even just students that are wanting to improve their ability to speak more like a native English speaker. And let's see if some of these things touches you, because once we can make that connection, it touches our heart, not just in our mind, like, hey, I have to develop this accent here. Once it touches something about us, it reaches our heart, then it's going to give us that impetus to a motivation to keep going, despite the obstacles, despite times where you feel a little bit discouraged, and maybe you're feeling like you're not progressing. And so once we go through these things, they might give you a little bit of a kick in the pants. In other words, motivation in order to see, to continue doing this and really see what's ahead of you here along this road and this path to speaking success. Well, here's a really nice one. Would you like to make friends with people from all over the world? In fact, by developing the American accent, you can have pen pals, you can have friends, you can go to really just about any country that uses English, and here you go. Just like you see here in this video, you're laughing, you're making friends, you're able to communicate with people. Now notice if you look here in this photo here as part of the video, that they are enjoying themselves, they're relaxed, they're comfortable. Would you like that to be you? You can choose whichever one of these people you want to be. And notice they're understanding each other. They didn't have that look on their face like, huh? What are you talking about? Or or they're not saying like, I just didn't understand that. Or their face, look at this man's face here. It's not as if he's struggling to figure out what he wants to say, or embarrassed by the way he sounds, or the fact that maybe nobody can understand him, or he's saying things incorrectly. They're all relaxed. They all seem to be enjoying each other's company. You could tell that their guard is down, and they're really just having a good time. And really, that's one of the things that could be before you by developing the American accent. Now, honestly, if you weren't born in the United States or didn't come to the U.S. or Canada as a child, developing the American accent is going to be a process. It's going to be something that you're going to have to work on. And even when you get to a pretty high level and you're very proficient, you're very fluent in the language, one of the things that you'll realize is that you'll still have to continue working on it. Uh, little touch-ups here and there, little tweaks here and there. But look at the photo. I mean, wouldn't you like to just jump in there and that be you? And at the same time, still keep your friends from your home country, still keep the culture, the understanding that you have of your native language, but also being able to branch out and talk to these ones that speak a common language really all over the world, which is English, and be able to be fearless. Notice, can you imagine come up to a native English speaker and just strike up the conversation like, hey, I love that laptop. Where'd you get that purse? Where'd you get that blouse from there? What, you want to go to the basketball game? What about coming over to the house and we're going to have some barbecue there? And being able to do those things, aren't those some wonderful things that you can look forward to? Well, that's one of the things that I want you to ingrain that not only into your mind, but also into your heart. That's going to help you to surpass even your wildest imaginations and dreams if you can see yourself there. So that's what we talked about, is friendships, developing friendships, being able to chat, whether it's online and not wondering like, oh, did I say this wrong? Or if someone says, hey, this girl here just swept me off my feet, or I've been shaken down by the police. Those are idioms there. That one of the things that we have to understand from a native language or a language that we're trying to learn. And being able to chat and communicate and talk with others, that's one of the things that really brings a great appeal when we're talking about learning the American accent. Imagine being able to do that freely, comfortably, with fluidity and fluency, being relaxed and being able to chill out and chat with ones that are even native English speakers. Well, that's all that's before you now. Okay, now look at these girls here. They're kind of acting crazy, but what quality stands out here that will help us that is really part of developing the American accent, and it is the ability to have confidence, to really even feel and even act like an American. Now, one of the things that people sometimes talk down about as far as North Americans is concerned is they have a lot of this. They have a lot of it. They have a lot of confidence in themselves. They can kind of walk into a room and control it, right? And so, even though you don't want to have this, you may not want to develop this kind of swagger here. It's still something that is really part of it. And in many cultures, being able to work a room or be able to have a presence of charisma and confidence, sometimes that's not really pushed. But really, this really comes along once you feel comfortable with your skills and being able to speak English well with a good, clear, clear pronunciation, and being able to be fluent in the language. You'll feel like you'll just like these girls here, these ladies, like you can talk to anyone, you can do anything. And so confidence again is another major benefit of obtaining the American accent and being able to put it into use in your life. Now, can this be another reason why you want to develop the American accent? You want to travel all over the world. Now, again, English is spoken really throughout the world, and and you'll run across North Americans. You'll run across ones from Europe, like England and other countries that speak English. And here you are. Now you're speaking the language of commerce, and you'll be able to really have the experiences there that otherwise you probably would not have been able to take advantage of if you didn't have that confidence in speaking and being able to master one of the most widely used accents in the world, and one of the most popular ones, which is the American accent. So look at those ladies there taking pictures there. I guess this is in Greece, and that could be you. And you could be traveling the world and have the confidence to speak to anyone, not only in traveling but also in commerce as well. Now, one of the reasons why, another reason, no, not reasons, another reason why ones want to develop the American accent is because they feel like that will help them to provide, not for these elephants here, but for their families. Now, as you can see here, that's a major responsibility being able to do that. Or maybe you're thinking of starting a family, but wonder like how are you going to be able to support them. And so many times this is where the American accent comes in. You imagine working for a call center, being able to be a liaison between the United States or Canada or another English-speaking country, and also your country. How valuable that would be in order to do that. Also, look at what you're able to provide and also be able to pass on to your children. Now, many times children will take on the accents and the pronunciation and the way of speaking of the things that they're surrounded with. Now, maybe you're living in a country outside of the United States, but isn't it true that this is a gift that you can give your own children, your spouse, other relatives, is to be able to speak with them and give them a reference point by which they can also work on their American accent. And believe me, being born in another country and being raised here in the United States has really been invaluable for me. Being able to speak with a clear American accent has worked wonders for my career and the experiences that I've had as well. And this is something you could pass on to yourself and your family as well. Okay, here's another benefit. Are you looking forward to this? Now, honestly, if you think about when you're thinking about the workplace, when you're thinking about your job or your work environment, isn't it true that really across the board really are very similar? In order to be a doctor, you have to have a certain number of skill sets, pass a certain amount of tests and what have you, develop a level of proficiency in your particular field. And so really across the board, if you think about it, skills are pretty much similar. People in your field, people in your department or what have you are going to have that in that particular job are going to have the same type of skills. There's going to be some that are pretty good, a little bit better than others, but most of us will have the same skills throughout the board, across the board. So why am I bringing this up here? It's because many times the American accent, being able to speak more like a native English speaker, really is the thing it's one of the main things that could be standing in your way from achieving a promotion at work, for achieving success, being able to really communicate and really be on the same page as your boss, as the owner of the company, as a supervisor. Could you imagine one of some of my students really, that's the only thing that's standing in their way is really the American accent. I know one of my students who developing the American accent is the difference between her having her normal pay rate and $50,000 to $80,000 more a year. Now tell me, how much is that worth to you? And many times what you'll do is when you get to a certain point in your career, you're going to be asked to run a team, to manage a department. And that means being able to manage. That's going to mean being able to deal with people that are English speakers, that are from North America, maybe England, maybe Germany, where they speak English there as well. So how do you deal with them? How are you going to be able to relate with them? Only if you're not having the same or very similar accent, way of speaking, and way of thinking that they do. And so really this is the great equalizer here. Well, it will bring you to the point where you'll see yourselves having the advantages that maybe you didn't have before. Remember, with all the skills being the same, if you take that for granted, with all the skills being the same, the American accent could be the difference. It could be the key to open your door to all these things that we're talking about. And again, we start with the question, why? So folks, I want you to ask that of yourselves. Why do I want to do this? What's this going to do for me and my family, my career, my own personal growth and development? As you go through this video here today, I want you to write that down. I want it to filter down into your very soul, your very being, because look, you've just opened the door to these wonderful opportunities by being able to master the American accent.